Welcome to Riverstone Reviews. There was a time when waiting years for a sequel to come out was an anticipated event, that the filmmakers wanted to capture the energy and the world of the original and build upon it. And even if those sequels weren't as good as the originals, as fans, we could still take solace in the fact that those movies kept the spirit and the worlds of the originals alive for the next franchise installment to have a chance to succeed. Yeah, those days are dead. Welcome to the new world of self-intention, self-gratification, and self-promotion. When the purpose of a sequel is to destroy canon, show how much more creative new directors and writers can be over the originals, where doing things different is considered better and subverting expectations is the norm. And boy, did this create a lot of shit sequels and destroy franchises. Well, fans, expect more of the same from the next installment of Train to Busan called Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. I don't even know what that title means.
Most people write letters to movie stars. The Simpson guy writes to movies. Dear Die Hard, you rock, especially when that guy was on the roof. P.S. Do you know Mad Max?
But the strange title properly represents this dumpster fire of a film, which is supposedly a sequel to the successful, enjoyable Train to Busan. Unlike the original, which does a great job of taking from zombie tropes and other successful zombie films, and weaving a simple, satisfying story of ordinary people trying to survive the oncoming zombie pandemic, this film wants to go against everything it was, undo everything it did right, and ignore the rules set in the first film. Peninsula wants to be an action-packed hero film of hope and redemption. It ends up being a Fast and Furious heist in an escape from New York scenario against a Mad Max enemy with a backdrop of zombies and some children tossed in to rescue. It's the dramatic equivalent of throwing up on a plate and calling it leftovers. So let's take a look at the story. It starts with our hero, a soldier escaping Busan to a boat with his sister and brother-in-law, ignoring a woman who pleads for him to save her daughter, only to have everyone on the rescue boat killed by zombies except him and his brother-in-law. Cut to 4 years later, with the Korean peninsula being a contained area of zombie outbreak. Now we have to ignore the fact that in the first movie, animals could also carry the virus, and that even though this film says the virus overtook all South Korea in a day, none of the virus escapes, even after 4 years. Why does this film take place 4 years later? Don't know, other than this film was made 4 years later. But that fact gives way to so many questions, like how did all the zombies stay alive and active for 4 years? They don't eat each other, and their bodies haven't decomposed, and they don't starve. There seems to be no reason this film takes place 4 years later, other than if things on the peninsula have some reason calmed down. But how could they have calmed if zombies are as healthy as they were 4 years ago? Ignore all that, fans. A group of Koreans who survived and escaped to Hong Kong are hired by a crime boss to go back to Busan and get $20 million that are inside a truck on the streets of Busan. How the crime boss knows exactly where the money is? Don't know. How does he know it is still there and wasn't destroyed in an accident fire 4 years ago? Don't think about it. How are they supposed to drive this truck if the city was completely abandoned? Who knows? So the crime boss puts together this crack team of our hero, an ex-soldier, a mechanic to make sure the truck runs when they go to get the money, a Busan cabbie who is a driver and knows everything about the streets in Busan, and our hero's brother-in-law, who has no skills other than getting into trouble and needing rescued. So the four of them take a raft and go at night back to Busan. Then they walk the streets and get a car working. They then drive around looking for the truck, never once hitting a blocked passage where they couldn't get through, even though there are cars abandoned everywhere all over the streets. There's no sign of zombies anywhere, except a horde of active zombies, which is shown behind a tinted building window. They eventually find a truck and the money. Little do they know, a young girl is watching them. The brother-in-law uses his special skills to crawl over a living zombie and wake it, and then honk a truck horn to bring a horde of zombies crashing upon him. Hero and the mechanic jump into the truck while the other two get into the car. But driving away, they bump into cars, causing their car alarms to start sounding and bring even more zombies running. Now I have to say here, not only is it amazing that every car battery in Busan is working after 4 years, but that all these car alarms were set to go off. And the fact that nothing set them off before is inconceivable. And I can tell you now, this never happens again in the entire film. This is the only section of street in the entire city where the car alarms are set. That's what you call good script continuity. So they wreck and are overrun with zombies, sort of. Time and again in this film, when the zombies come, they are polite enough to all surround one car or go after one victim, letting the other characters stand 20 feet away, having their dramatic moments of shock while completely untouched. So our hero stands and watches the cabbie get killed and the mechanic fight to survive. Then the young girl who was watching them races in her SUV and rescues our hero, then drives off. The brother-in-law is able to get into the back of the truck and hide. After our hero is rushed away, a band of scavengers drives in and goes to the truck. The mechanic, injured, pleads for help, but the scavengers kill him. They then take the truck, without looking inside. So it's unclear why they actually decide to take this truck, other than if they need a broken down truck with a busted windshield. The young girl and her sister drive the hero through the streets at breakneck speeds. The filmmakers tried to make the driving in this movie more exciting by running the scenes in fast motion in the dark, but this only serves to give the high-speed sequences a fake, comical feel. Near the driving misses are done in slow motion, but that only serves to lessen the tension of a near miss. And it is done this way through many of the car chases throughout the film. It's like putting sugar on icing. More is not better. The result is fake-looking car chases that seem out of place in this static, dead world. And because the cars are going so fast, it only becomes more obvious that although the streets are lined with abandoned cars, they left a path clearly down the middle that they can speed around in. There is a Mad Max-style car chase that takes place later in the film, and the vehicles are driving 4 wide down these same streets, which currently you see only has a space of 1 car. It shows that this world full of destruction isn't like a real environment. It's more like a mural on the wall. It's there, but it's irrelevant. And the high-speed driving only makes CGI zombies that the cars hit more obvious, because the vehicles have no reaction to hitting zombies, no matter how many they'd hit. So long story short, the brother-in-law gets taken back by the scavengers to their compound. We find out they're ex-soldiers who were left here as part of the rescue 4 years ago. When these ex-military scavengers find people, like the hero's brother-in-law who's hiding in the back of the truck, they put him in this battle arena they made. They make it clear that the food is scarce here, and that resources are sparse. But they had time to build a zombie battle arena because when you live in a zombie apocalypse, live entertainment is as important as water. So every night, survivors like the brother-in-law are put into an arena with some zombies, and if they survive after 2 minutes, they get to fight another night. Now our hero is taken back to the home of the 2 young girls, where their mother and a kooky grandpa live. Grandpa spends his days talking to someone called Jane on his radio, who he claims she will come to rescue them someday. Our hero recognizes the mother as the woman who begged to save her daughter on the streets at the beginning of this movie. He then confesses to her that he knows her from that and that he left her on the street. And mother makes him feel bad about not taking her and says that he is now indebted to her for leaving them behind. For some reason, he doesn't tell her that everyone who went on the boat with him, including his sister and niece, were killed by zombies, and that if she went with him on the boat, she'd be dead right now. But then, the writers didn't say that because they couldn't make him indebted to her. She says at some moment she will ask him to do something and he must promise to do it for her. This promise seems so out of place that unless she knows the future, this doesn't make any sense. But that is much of the writing of the script here. Obvious foreshadowing of events that tell an audience what is going to happen way in the future. Now, we know that something in the future is going to happen where she needs him to keep his promise, which means these 2 will be together later in the film, so we know nothing is going to happen to either of these characters until she asks him to keep his promise. Outfitted with plot armor, our hero tells the mother that he has a satellite phone on the truck the scavengers took, and if they get it and the money, they can get rescued. It just so happens that she once belonged to that group, which is strange since there isn't a single female in the camp, no children and no elderly. They are all soldiers. So why they took only her and her kids in, and how she was the only female and able to escape a camp of soldiers, I don't know. But she thinks her and the hero can break into the camp and get the satellite phone, steal the truck, and get to the rescue with her daughters and grandfather. Sure, why not? Nothing else in this film makes sense or seems real, so why start now? Meanwhile, the leader of the scavenger camp finds the money in the back of the truck that the people who took it never searched, and also finds the satellite phone. The leader turns it on, and it calls the extraction ship. The leader talks to whoever is on the phone and says he now has the money. And the extraction ship says if he brings the money, they will give him the same deal they gave our hero. After hanging up, he decides the hell with all his scavenger men, and he will leave himself and trust these strangers to rescue him. But to leave with the truck, he must come up with a distraction. He decides to hold an arena games for 24 hours. Now, this doesn't even seem possible. They only have about a dozen survivors for the arena fights. The rounds only last 2 minutes, and every round the zombies get a few of them. So even stretched out, games will only go for at most 30 minutes before no one's left to fight. But then again, this movie likes to say and do things whether it makes sense or not. So the hero and the mother easily break into the camp, which has only 2 guards on duty facing one direction. They find the truck, but run into the camp leader's assistant. In the process, the hero finds out that his brother-in-law is still alive and in the arena. Hero goes to save his brother-in-law while mother waits for the camp leader at the truck. The camp leader then shows up, and the mother hits him with the truck and takes the phone from him. So our hero goes deep into the camp unnoticed and into the arena in front of the entire camp, shooting zombies and saving his brother-in-law. How did he get into the arena? Don't know. How did no one see him? Don't know. Why did he decide to go into an enclosed arena and that this was his best course of action? Why not? So the camp watches not only as he breaks in, but allows zombies in the arena to break out. And how the zombies get out is unknown because the way they go leads into confinement cells that they kept the arena survivors. They should have gone up in there and been trapped. But because the story says so, the cells are now gone and the zombies, our hero and the brother-in-law, escape. During the escape, the hero and brother-in-law get trapped. Then the brother-in-law gets shot. After a long, sad moment, real long, sad moment, our hero suddenly turns Rambo as he fights and shoots his way past the camp scavengers who politely attack one at a time. Then bursting through the wall is Mother driving the truck, who somehow knew exactly where our hero would be and which wall to break through to get to him. Hero gets into the truck and then they escape the camp. But wait, the camp scavengers are now all chasing him in trucks in a Mad Max-style car chase. The 2 daughters and Grandpa join in, and now 2 vehicles with our heroes and a half-dozen scavenger vehicles race down the street in a 4-vehicle-wide formation. Now, how did this happen? Vehicles are abandoned everywhere. Earlier, we saw there was just enough room for 1 vehicle to go down the street, and suddenly, all the streets are so wide and clear, everyone fits. And this is one of the many reasons why this is the most boring multi-car chase I've seen. It doesn't fit the world. When our heroes left, the scavengers weren't ready for a chase, and in this darkness and increased fake speed, it looks unreal. One of the great things in the Mad Max chases is that the big trucks move differently than the cars. But in this chase, the cargo truck accelerates as fast as the cars, turns as quickly, is maneuverable as them. So when they try to escape, the truck should make it harder and more suspenseful, but it is not. It moves as easily as the cars. So the whole overlong chase looks more like a video game than an actual movie. And of course, the vehicles our 2 heroes in escape and make it to the port for pickup. But wait, out of nowhere, the camp leader rams the lead vehicle with the 2 daughters in it and takes one hostage. Now, how the hell did the camp leader get here first? They were driving balls out in this chase. The leader was left behind. Am I supposed to believe that the camp leader somehow drove faster than everyone else, knew a shortcut where they would be, and had time to wait for them to arrive? But this movie doesn't care, so why should I? This filmmaker thinks it is good drama, and we as an audience are too stupid to notice. So the leader shoots the mother in the leg and the grandpa in the back and takes the truck, leaving our hero and the family behind. The camp leader makes it to the boat with the truck of money and is immediately shot up by the rescue crew. With his dying breath, the camp leader backs the truck out of the boat, jamming the boat door open, allowing the zombies to get onto the boat and kill everyone. Now, why the crew didn't shut the door as soon as he entered, don't know. Why wasn't there any crew watching for zombies to come? Don't know. Why didn't they shoot at the zombies before they got on the boat? Don't know. And why did they leave the leader in the truck with the truck running so he could just back it out? Who cares? Meanwhile, the family and hero are untouched by the zombies as they have a long, dramatic moment of Grandpa dying. Really long. And the zombies are polite enough not to bother them. Then a helicopter suddenly shows up. It's Jane, Grandpa's radio friend. They know it's rescue for them, and Mother tells Hero to save his daughters, telling him to keep his promise to her earlier. Because earlier in the script, she knew this moment would come when she would be shot in the leg. And they run for the chopper. Mother grabs her gun and limps behind, falling farther and farther. Suddenly, the zombies decide to get involved and chase them. But Hero and daughter get past narrowly. Mother then climbs into a truck and honks the horn to get the zombies to come after her instead of the chopper, because the constant loud noise of a helicopter is nothing next to a car horn apparently. Daughter refuses to leave. Mother decides she should kill herself with the gun, but she just sits there with it under her chin. The hero suddenly decides, maybe I'll save her, and goes to get the mother. And in a terrible acting moment, Mother realizes the hero is coming for her, and she, instead of shooting herself, begins shooting the zombies, and is quite easily able to get out of a truck that was overrun by zombies just moments earlier. And thanks to the zombies politely attacking in a straight line, our hero helps her get to the chopper. Since the movie is ending, the zombies give up, and the hero slowly and dramatically walks onto the chopper, and then they all fly away into the sunrise. That is the story of Peninsula, and God, it was all over the place. The worst part of this film wasn't the stupidity of the camp and the arena or ease of our hero's escape. It wasn't the inconsistency of story being a heist film, then a post-apocalyptic tribal film, then a chase. The film's worst part was that it was everything except a zombie film. The mechanic was killed by scavengers, as was the brother-in-law and grandpa. The camp leader was shot by criminals. An entire peninsula full of zombies, and almost all the central characters were shot by people. So many car chases, but gasoline was never an issue, nor was any roads being blocked. Zombies showed up in hordes from all directions, but always attacked in a straight line to let the characters escape. Only a film this bad could turn a land of zombies into something non-threatening. And the scavenger camp is a cookie cutter of the rival survival camps in The Walking Dead, where asshole leaders want power and kill outsiders. But even in The Walking Dead, they avoid something as ridiculous as building an arena just to pit survivors against zombies. Where Train to Busan took zombie tropes and cliches and embraced them, executing them well and treating them with respect, Peninsula takes tropes and cliches from the worst action and survival films, tries to bump them up a notch, and uses them shamelessly without reason. There isn't a section of this film where I can take comfort in good dialogue, believable moments, or interesting story. The characters are flat and plastic, so stereotypical that when I call them hero or mother, it tells you everything you need to know about them. So it's time to give this film a grade. I give it a D. For the dumpster fire of a story, dumb zombies, derivative scenarios, and dragged out sob scenes with over-dramatic music. Car chases that you are watching seem like a video game, and dialogue that makes comic book writing fine literature. You might find it hard to believe that the same people who directed and created Train to Busan could make a film this bad, but you only have to look at the latest Wonder Woman sequel to see how easily a director with too much money and too much control could take a quality first film and follow it up with an amazingly disappointing sequel. Now, some people may say I'm a little hard with a D grade because there was some decent action or production quality. But I say no, because this film had everything it already needed. It could have created a zombie heist film, and it just would have been amazing to try to watch them take 20 bags of money off an island with zombies overrunning them. But no, they had to make it everything. They had to overdo everything. They had to ruin everything by trying to make it overly dramatic, overly exciting, overly sad, overly interesting, and overly stylized. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe, and as always, in the river of life, don't let yourself be pushed around by the currents. Be yourself. Be a stone in the river.